Recording in progress.
And they told him he should, he could cut, but he doesn't want to. He wants all the kids to play. So, but they played last year at Lakeview, so. I don't know what they're gonna do this year, cause the kids were able to still go off there after school. Just took them a little while, but they could, cause they're a lot of freshmen, so they have cars.
All right, it is 7 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call to order the July 21st, 2025 PRC meeting. Kylie, do you have roll?
Yes, we have Tressler, Bond, and Trucios not in attendance and absent at this time. And then we do have 5 members present, which makes a quorum for tonight's meeting.
All right, the first order of business will be the approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Do we have any changes or additions, subtractions to those minutes? All right, hearing none, I'll accept those minutes as submitted. On to the new business. So first agenda item will be the amendment number 2 to the construction services agreement with Rattler for the Lakeview Park Tennis and Pickleball Court project.
Yeah, so this, we do have Ryan Bars from Rattler Corporation on the call tonight to answer questions and run through anything that I have missed here in a brief overview. At our previous meeting in July, I did bring a overview of what was going on with the project and that the work has stopped with PCC Target Sports. As far as where the soils came in, or they had stopped work due to poor soils being determined on the site, and we had to find a plan of action to move forward because the work the work was coming in at quoted higher than a 15% change order, which statutorily we cannot go 15% above a project contracted project amount. So we went back to the drawing board with engineer, Rattler, engineer staff, and then also our city attorney to determine that we'd like to move forward with bidding out the portion of extra work that's needed, the earthwork. So there has to be a portion, or the site has to have undercut done on that subgrade to expose the poor soils, remove the poor soils, and Rattler can talk a little bit more through the plan of attack, and then bring in backfill to get it up to subgrade. And the agreement that is presented in front of you for review and recommendation would be for them to bid out that work and to oversee that portion of work so that can be completed. And hopefully the bid would be awarded on August 18th, 19th, the PRFC and Common Council Finance meetings this month, or in August. We're still in July, in August here. So we can get moving on work to be completed early September, and then Target PCC Sports would be able to start work right to follow. So I don't know if I missed anything, Ryan, in my overview, and if you wanted to add anything to that.
No, I think aren't been pending any questions. I think you covered it pretty good there, Kelly.
Questions?
No.
So we would be able to get that bid hopefully approved by Common Council on the 18th or 19th, you said?
Yes, we're working on getting we have a 2-week time period that it has to be posted in the press. So we'd get that on Thursday, or this Thursday, for a 2-week period after to follow. So, and then a bid opening on August 13th is what we have slotted.
Okay, and then assuming everything goes to plan, let's make that a big assumption. What would be like targeted completion date then of the project? If we can get the bids all out and accepted, and then they can start doing on the timeline that you're hoping, when is this gonna be done?
Yes, we would hope that we ran through all of this scenario, once we got a timeline for this bidding of this extra work. We ran through the timeline with PCC Tarcut Sports, and they had noted that we would still have to do a change order potentially for time, but they would get completion of the courts this year with the surface coating, similar to the school district project, where they had to do the acrylic color coating on the top, and then the line work in that. Just because of temperature, we pretty much guarantee that wouldn't hit or wouldn't be completed, so we'd be looking at early spring to complete that work. But I don't know, Ryan, if you have more insight as to kind of the timeline to this project, other than hopefully we get most of it done in just the top coating.
Yeah, so I agree, Kylie. It sounds like if we can get this additional work bid out, get another contractor in there, get that work complete in maybe even the end of August, early September, then we can get Tarket back in there to do the PT courts. And then once they get the concrete down for the courts themselves, then they'll work on the fencing and the perimeter concrete and the restoration of the topsoil, get it all seeded down, and they'll have all that in place. That work usually takes place in the 4-week period between when the courts go down and then the 4-week period that they have to wait for that concrete to cure before the surfacing can go down. So they'd be able to get all that work complete, but unfortunately there's temperature requirements with that surfacing, and more than likely it'd be getting into October here. And that's where temperatures are likely going to be getting too cool to finish that surfacing. So fortunately they would probably be able to get all the fencing, all the concrete work, including all the landscape restoration, and get that topsoil and get it all graded, get the erosion control in place. It would just be that surfacing that would likely have to wait until the spring.
Thank you.
And then a budget piece, and then I might have to stop for a second because I don't know why the computer, or it says that I'm sharing my screen, and it's, I just noticed that it's not. Was it ever sharing my screen?
No.
Oh, great. Okay. And so also on the budget piece, we'd have a budget amendment, budget resolution, budget amendment that we'd be looking at for this extra work. I've worked with our finance director to identify funding sources for the additional work, and I'll be presenting that at our August 19th, 18th, 19th meeting for Parks, Forestry, or Parks, PRC, Common Council, Finance, all of that to be all approved at the award of bid.
Okay.
With the change order from PCC Sports and Tarket. PCC Tarket.
Right. Sounds good.
Can I ask, just being new to the process and not being involved in this initial, like,
Yes.
who does the bid go out to? Like, is it people we've already worked with, or?
The bid is a public bid process. That's a really good question. So it's a public bid process, and it's all done through an online, web-based online system called Quest, is what the city uses. And so that you kind of use keywords to say tennis pickleball construction, and all companies can be a part of that process through that online bidding system that have interest in building pickleball tennis courts.
Yeah, great, thanks.
All right. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I would move that we recommend to Finance and Personnel Committee, let's see where, the agreement with Redder Corporation for construction oversight and bidding services for the additional work to Lakeview Tennis and Pickleball Court in an amount not to exceed $7,500.
All right. Do you have a motion? Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Motion and second. Any discussion on the motion? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. So I'll pause for a moment while Kylie gets her text sorted out here. There it goes.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
What's up now?
I apologize. I didn't notice that right away.
Sorry. All right.
Thank you, Ryan.
Next agenda item, the concept design approval for the Penny Klein and Firefighters Memorial Park ADA improvements.
All right. Okay, so Katie McDonald is from Parkitecture is online or on this Zoom to run through the designs that we have hired them to complete. We went into an agreement with Parkitecture earlier this year to design Penny Klein Firefighters Memorial Park ADA improvements, and there was 3 targeted areas that we looked at, which were the soccer stadium and Firefighters Memorial Park, and then that is also called Bergie Field. And then we did contract them to take a look at Penny Klein Park for both Adler baseball field and the 8 soccer fields that are located at Penny Klein Park as well for ADA improvements. And I'm just gonna pull this. I'm gonna pull these attachments up that aren't coming up. Okay. So that we can take a look at those further. And so the Parkitecture had gotten to a point where they have projected costs for each of the 3 areas, and then designs as well for each of these areas. And I will let Katie run through each of them as soon as I pull them up here. But tonight I'm looking for your review on design, and then timeline and budget. We can also take a look at the projected costs, what we have allocated in our 2025 funds, and I'm looking for your okay, I gotta get here, your recommendations on that design and timeline and prioritization of what we want to tackle first and foremost or put off. So are these designs in here, Katie?
They are.
Okay,
They're
good.
almost there, page 34.
Okay, perfect.
Let's start on that.
Sorry for
Keep
this.
going a couple pages further in.
Oh, okay.
Just keep coming.
All right, I'm just gonna zoom out a little bit. Okay.
Yep, one more sheet and let's take a look at our
Okay.
plan view.
This one right here.
Yes, please. Thank you, Kylie. So this 2D image shows the areas that we are looking at. As Kylie mentioned, this is Penny Klein Park and the Middleton Firefighters Memorial Park. They are on the north and the south sides of Airport Road, right over near Maury Airport. This was originally Quisling Park, for those that have been around for more than a few years. So there are 3 locations for ADA improvements that we were evaluating with the city, and that is adding ADA pathways from the parking lots out to the soccer fields within Penny Klein Park, adding new accessible pathways, again, from parking and drop-off areas to the Steve Adler Field. And then south of Airport Road is the Bergie Soccer Stadium, and again, looking at adding an accessible walkway from existing parking north up to the concrete bleacher area within the fields. Kylie, do you want us to go through each of these individually?
Yes, I think that would be important. And then we can also show conditions prior to, not prior to, current conditions.
Sure, if you want to scroll up a page, we can take a look at those existing pictures. So the soccer, well, I guess all of the parking lots out there, there are ADA parking areas that are marked. They are currently non-compliant, generally because the signage itself is not 100% compliant, and we do not have accessible pathways that connect from those parking stalls to any destination points. right? They are simply marked asphalt stalls with no adjacent walkways that connect to anything. The existing soccer field is basically one very large grassy field area. And there are marked soccer fields during the season, but again, no way for either players or those that are there to observe the games to get down to the actual fields themselves. And the existing asphalt pathway and some parts of the asphalt parking lots have a reasonably steep slope that comes right off the edge of the asphalt down to the more level playing fields. So that's another current barrier for access. Steve Adler Field is a lovely developed baseball field with bleachers and with dugouts behind the chain link fence. The bleachers all just sit basically on the dirt. There's no connecting pathways of any kind, either from, again, parking or drop-off facilities to either the bleachers sitting on the dirt or into the field itself. You have to walk across the grass. The lowest level of photos here, the three across the, well, the one on the bottom left, actually. That is the Bergie Soccer Stadium that's down at Firefighters Park. And so that is the current connection point from the asphalt parking into the stadium. You have to go down a grass hillside, cross over this small section of boardwalk, and then there's a back access into the soccer stadium. Yep, and that center picture right up above, yeah, that's the ADA parking stalls currently over at the Bergie soccer stadium, with a shed and the porta potties that are what players at that field use sitting on the actual asphalt parking lot.
I'm just gonna pull. And just kind of for an overview. So I'm just showing an overview of current conditions too, real quick. So the current 8 soccer fields, there's no connection kind of around, that's what we're looking at. ADA compliant, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Katie, we would want a path going around all and being able to touch all soccer fields. And that's where we have one across the top that touches the top 4 soccer fields, but we would want families to access the entirety of those fields. And then for Adler, there's ADA stalls that we're looking right there, or and to be able to connect in to these bleachers, they're located in those spots, and to the dugouts as well. And then over at Firefighters Memorial Park, the ADA parking stalls are right there. And then you kind of go down that hill that was in the other picture to get across. And then we're looking, all of these bleachers are ADA compliant, but it doesn't matter if you can't get to them. So that's where we're looking. What I've received in my 3 years of being here is feedback on our strong need of fencing. And so that's going to be looked at, included into the design that Katie will review. But kind of the 2 large comments is Middleton United Soccer Club that utilizes these fields is requesting fencing. And so in this picture, we have orange, that orange safety fencing or snow fencing. We put it up every single winter and take it down and the entire length of those fields, so that vehicles do not drive onto the fields during spring, winter season and ruin the field turf, which we've seen as a continuous problem. So fencing is also being looked at as a part of this project on this side as well as this side. And then we've also gotten several parents from the soccer teams of the high school soccer teams that have been requesting that this be accessible because grandma can't get to watch the soccer game. And so we've got numerous emails in about requesting this access point to be looked at. There's a lot of ADA needs in our community, and something we, as staff, will be bringing forward is an ADA transition plan to the budget season for PRFC to review at our upcoming meeting to help take a look at all these ADA requests and needs throughout our system to get compliancy up to snuff, or at least have a plan for them, all of our facilities. So a little side note there, but I will go back to this and then let Katie kind of run through each one of these plans.
Good, thanks, Kylie. So again, we're going to start with the soccer fields that are over at Penny Klein. And again, you can see the town parking lot that's on the west side and the two parking lots that are city property over on the east side. And a new proposed asphalt pathway that's basically a big U shape connecting those three existing parking lots, routing along both sides and then down on the south side parallel to Airport Road that does provide access in a full loop all the way around all of the existing soccer fields in the area. And as Kylie had mentioned, there have been some issues with cars driving on these fields where they shouldn't have been. And so we've been working with Kylie on what that fencing could look like. We are proposing 40-foot long sections of post and rail fence with a 10-foot gap between each as a deterrent. And the post and rail fence would be similar to the post and rail that was actually just installed over at the Pleasant View Golf Course. And that would be right to the inside, the field side of the asphalt path on the west and the eastern sides. And this is a proposed 8-foot wide asphalt pathway.
And that we've been getting a little bit of pushback on the 8-foot wide from Middleton United, just because they want to keep as much green space as possible on the fields. But if we really want to make a pathway that's that folks can utilize back and forth traffic, we should be looking at something at least 8 foot. Our typical paths that we put in are 10-foot wide at minimum for such as the creek corridor. Yep.
The 8 feet of path isn't going to change their playing surface, I'm assuming.
We are, so if you can see actually their goals here. And so there would be, we are not proposing that it would change their play field. It just becomes, it starts to become tight to their play field.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we've been working through with them. They wanted to really push it out to the side as much as possible, but we have it, the first design, I don't know if anybody was around when we proposed the first design that had a landscaping and berms, and so this takes away kind of that graded landscaping berm that was there, so it would be flush with the parking lot and up against everything as much as possible. We're putting it to the very most perimeter.
Yep, as Kylie said, these pathways have been pushed to the absolute perimeter. The western edge is set 1 foot inside of the property line. The southern edge is tucked right up against the bottom of the slope that comes down from Airport Road. And the eastern side, we have right up against the edge of the parking lot and actually have to inset it in between those two parking lots because there's some conflicting utility boxes we're working around.
Is there still gonna be room for trees? I think they did want landscaping, and if we're gonna do a whole path around there, I'm sure people will use that like as a walking path. So it'd be nice to have trees to like offset all the asphalt heat.
We did take out, the landscaping berms, from there. But we can make a comment or, take a look. That definitely can be a part of the discussion tonight, from everybody is about, trees. We were concerned with the amount of landscaping that was there. If people were coming to the facility with mulched landscaping all the way down the length, that we would have staff availability or time to be able to manage all of that needed landscaping. So, we had, I believe, I don't know, Katie, if, I can look up and see how many trees we had, in the previous design, but,
Yeah, I don't know a number offhand. And I'm actually not sure if we had a count, a specific count identified. It was kind of a typical landscaping, interwoven landscaping berm that we were showing.
okay, the fencing, need is there, due to, damage to the field that was done several times. So the fencing is something that we are like, we definitely want to see, the fencing throughout. But we are trying to make sure there's like sections that people could walk in and off the field, so it's not like the entire length is fenced. But I don't know, Katie, suggestions where trees can be placed, and how close they can be on the field. We might have to start looking at, adding field dimensions onto this, or at least, I
That
don't,
was gonna be my next question, is how close is the fence to the sideline or, of the playing surface?
Yeah, I don't think we have those identified.
Okay.
and I can share with you and Blake again, the, dimensions that were provided from the high school and Middleton United for, what they have to get the 4 fields, in, and we can see if there's anything impeding, play that the boundary would be.
Yeah, cause my thought was you could put trees up against the fence but if it's too close, you run into the situation where you can't have a tree over the top of the playing surface, right?
Mhm.
So,
Like the shade of it.
yeah,
Can't.
Right.
the
but I
view of
do
the-
think that 8 feet is a necessity. That way you can get people passing each other, going opposite directions and have plenty of clearance between them.
And the people are sitting here, right? That's where they sit,
Right inside the fence.
like on the other side of.
Probably between the fields too, I'm guessing.
Yeah, between the fields and.
Would appreciate some shade.
Yeah, that could be a question to Middleton United too, is like, where would shading be, the best to be identified for viewers?
You really don't, you can't put anything in the middle of the field, but you think you could.
No, no.
If there is room, we could see what kind of, and, work with Kevin as well to see if there's anything that would be feasible. But again, that's if there's room.
Yeah, and we have our tree, this is where we, put all of our trees, our ball and burlap trees for planting. We have this whole thing fenced off. I don't know if you guys have that. I would say that we could definitely look at that, as a part of, to include as much as possible in this design.
So, Kylie, am I right that the estimate on this project is around 61,000? Is that something that would have to be a budget request for next year?
We can go through the budget projections for all three of these project areas. But this one is much higher.
Oh, I see that 188.
Yeah, 188 for this project.
Okay,
And then I was just kind of building in 10% contingency as typical for projects, so,
sure.
um,
So that's not added in there yet? Oh, I see that it is.
It is.
I added that on top of theirs. Yep.
It's
To
good
get
to
this.
do. So is there are any of these feasible for this year, or are they all requests for next?
So we have, $74,000 in budget.
Oh, okay.
In our funding identified for ADA improvements for
Okay.
2025.
Okay.
And then we have, and I just put together this so you can take a look, but this is the project cost identified by Parkitecture.
Mhm.
And then I built in a 10% contingency and came up with this total cost, because there's always things in like grading permit or, you
Okay.
know, those types of things. So I wanted to have a little bit extra, but
Yeah,
and then, but it looks like we'd be able to tackle Adler Field or the soccer stadium this year, but would have to request others. I do know that I've been working with Middleton United for the past 2 years, and they really wanted to see improvements to their field, but it's been funding and then getting this design work done. So unfortunately, we don't have the funds to execute this year.
Mhm.
But, and I think they were even working with Matt before, I know that they were working with
Yeah.
Matt before my time, so
Yeah.
this is something I'll request in the 2020 six budget, but this is all kind of to show you guys, and you guys give me a recommendation of where you'd like to see things go.
Mhm.
So if that makes sense, but does anybody have more questions for, I don't know, Kate or Katie on this one?
Yeah, I could probably go to the other two locations.
So our next sheet is the Adler Field. So again, this is just to the east on the other side of the parking lot from where we just were. This is a little more extensive than the work we had originally planned for at this location. The prior studies, we simply looked at adding a gravel pathway that was going to connect the new ADA stalls on the western side here, just to the bleachers, and then connect down to the drop-off area that's along kind of the connector roadway to the south. After further discussions with city staff, this is now developed into a concrete sidewalk. We're showing a 5-foot wide concrete sidewalk that will now connect to a concrete pad that would go behind the backstop and underneath that central set of bleachers, making it fully accessible. And then extending one 5-foot concrete sidewalk to the northern dugout, which would allow ADA access to one dugout and into the field, because the field gates are right up against the edge of the dugouts. And then, yeah, for the second dugout, again, we're showing one 5-foot wide connector sidewalk to the southern dugout. There is a larger concrete pad we're also showing down near the drop-off area. That could be used for future bike parking. It could be used for trash receptacles. It just seemed to make sense to add a little bit of extra space in that location. Also, the two ADA stalls we are showing in the parking lot on the western edge are new ADA stalls. There are not currently any ADA stalls on this side of the parking lot. And this was the most feasible location given where the drainage areas are in the existing parking lot. And then we're showing a crosswalk across that parking lot access way.
questions or feedback on this one?
I did change it from gravel because I did not want to manage gravel pathways at a ball field. I think that that would have been a little bit challenging. And this, I selected concrete, which is a lot more expensive than the gravel trails, but
Yeah. But if you want it to be ADA, it's so much easier on concrete for a wheelchair.
Correct.
yeah.
And, you know, you don't have to worry about maintaining it after a storm event either. You know,
Such a good point.
I think they
And
have,
even for people that are somewhat unsteady walking, the
Yeah.
concrete is much, much better.
Yeah.
the other option is asphalt, but I'm not sure. I did recommend concrete as the way to go, but I don't know, Katie, if there's really a difference there as far as concrete versus asphalt on I know longevity wise, you would have our concrete outlast.
Yeah, there are a couple of factors. Concrete will definitely outlast the asphalt. There's kind of a give and take between concrete and asphalt. Concrete is more expensive to install, but again, you get the longer longevity. And you can more easily construct a narrower pathway. That's one of the reasons we went with the 8-foot minimum asphalt path over at the soccer field, is to get a mechanized piece of equipment out there that most asphalt companies would have. You need to be paving at least 8 feet wide. By the time you get down to a 5 or 6 foot wide asphalt pathway, it's either being done by hand or there are only specialized companies that'll have the equipment, and that'll increase the cost.
Okay. Great. Comments or questions? We'll move on to the South Soccer Field.
All right, site number 3, yes, is to the south across Airport Road, down at the soccer stadium. And so there were a couple of items that we were looking to address here. The number one, again, is ADA accessibility. We have the long linear parking lots that are down here to the south. And people would have to, there are 2 marked ADA stalls right there, but they would have to traverse down a slope, cross over a boardwalk, come back up a slope, and then continue across the grass into the soccer stadium. So what we are showing is adding a concrete sidewalk along the back of the asphalt. And that would both provide ADA access for those 2 existing ADA stalls. There are also 4 individual stalls just over there on the west. So we have a couple of additional stalls that would have very good access for the people that can park into them. Instead of maintaining the boardwalk, we are looking at filling in a little bit of that swale and putting in a culvert pipe instead. The drainage swale right here just captures runoff from the grass soccer stadium itself and a little bit of the driveway entry. It's not a significant drainage area, so adding a pipe into here is quite feasible. It's very shallow sloped, which is the reason it always looks wet in those aerial photos. So that's not something we can address, but it's not a flow issue. It's simply a slope issue. So putting a single culvert through there is quite feasible. Again, that'll end up bringing elevation up, so that we're much more on a level plane as you traverse from the parking up to the soccer stadium. And then we are proposing adding a new gate into the fence. There is not a gate along that southern edge of the bleachers. So we would add a new 5-foot gate into the fence, extend the sidewalk, that additional 12 feet up to the existing concrete pad. And in discussions with the district, they said, hey, maybe we could just fill out that last corner of concrete. There is a storage shed that they currently have placed in one of the parking stalls right there. And that storage shed would just get lifted up and relocated to the new concrete pad, which also frees up another prime parking stall. So there are two ADA accessible porta potties that also are placed in one of those primary parking stalls. And we are proposing adding some additional concrete to the north of our sidewalk. And we would relocate them into their own designated area. And it would be a big enough concrete pad that we could put some type of wooden surround around it. Just to visually protect them, and it would also give a barrier for when the doors are opening and closing. You would not be able to see directly into the porta potties. That should cover what we're showing right here.
Questions or comments?
I think the fence, Katie, is the gate located over here right now?
It's a little bit to the south of that. You can see some other little white areas. I think it's down a little further, yeah, in there. Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. It was on a weird yeah.
It is an odd location. So when they open the gate, people, yeah, have to walk in and then head north along the grass to the inside of the fence and up to the bleachers.
We met with the athletic director and just to discuss this, and this was their preferred route. And what they wanted to take a look. We are in discussion of cost on this or what that looks like, but if we're gonna get a path all the way to here, we need to get connected to the pad and for the bleachers.
Yeah.
And then our goal always, and so this is a learning lesson, is to always have open parking lot stalls and not have stored items on there. So I'm trying to get everything off of our parking lots so that they can be parking stalls or ADA stalls or used for the intended use. But these are all pretty much not usable during the season, and those are our first entrance, like right when you enter into the park.
Yeah. Yeah, currently the first thing you see is those porta potties and the storage shed parked on the asphalt.
Comments or questions on this one? In terms of prioritizing them, I would probably put the baseball field last, because I'm guessing it's not gonna get much use yet, this fall. Right? Or does that, or is there a fall team or league that plays out that baseball field?
They do still play into the fall season,
Okay.
I believe, but and also to take a look at, there is fall soccer.
Mhm.
So
And that's what I was gonna get to next, is
Yeah.
because I think it's the boys soccer, that's a fall sport. Or is it girls
Yes,
soccer?
boys.
Yes,
Boys, so
boys is
the
fall.
boys will start in August. Would this, if we would say, let's do the soccer, well, the boys play here, or they play at the high school? For the high school teams,
I have to look into that a little bit further.
they might play at this high school.
I know that gets used in the fall though.
Okay.
I think they have fall women, like, I believe they have, they go all the way through fall, is what he told me. I don't know if it's, men's or women's. I just know they have soccer play until.
Well, Mike, where I was gonna get to though is that, if we could do this year, as long as it's not interrupting the usage of the facility, this is, and I know the other soccer fields too, but I don't know if we have the budget to do that this year. So those will get used this fall too. But I kind of feel like this here is almost like a no-brainer to do this year if we have the funding for it. Just because people will be able to utilize it pretty early on, or at least during the season at some point.
This year.
Yeah, is this gonna be done this year? If we approve this?
We would like to, get it, we would like to get them all built this year.
Okay,
But, this, for funding wise, we're trying to get something tackled this year, correct, Katie?
That would be great. Yep.
It's
But
also the least expensive of the three.
yeah.
so,
I mean, would building, I guess the question is, the construction timeline and building it, would it be disrupting play at that field?
that's where I can find out more information and come back at our following meeting. I didn't have a lot of time to connect with, the high school gave me their high school website and I didn't have time to dig into all of the schedules that they had of their 89 teams. So
Yeah.
I need a little bit more time to, take a look at their schedule and figure out, if there's another access point too. That was something I discussed with the athletic
Mhm.
director is, okay, yes, parking's here. They have to walk on the grass already right now. Can we, direct, access, on a different portion? Cause there's gates around the facility and it'd be inconvenient. But they are getting
Temporary.
yeah, it's temporary. So I think for any of these, there's gonna be inconveniences to play. And if we can try to mitigate all of, as much as possible, but still accomplish an improvement, I think most of these, groups will be, excited to hear that, so. I think then, if we're going forward with an ADA improvement project, the only concern I have, is I wanna advocate for, budget to be allocated for the Penny Klein soccer fields, as that one has been, requested by the user groups, multiple, for many years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we just don't have the budget, I know. So, I don't know if anybody else has questions on kind of what I built out for budget.
Do you need action on this tonight?
I would like, I would like to know, what's prioritized, if you have a priority of moving forward with a project, that would help give us direction, to move forward with. And then if there's any design elements that you guys would like to consider, such as trees, so I more or less need some feedback to move forward with a 90% construction plan for all three of these areas. And then I'd come back with a, if I know we want to go forward with this item, then I would know that we can get, Parkitecture into, contract for bidding, or at least building a spec so we can get it bid out and construction oversight in that, set to go for this project. So at least feedback.
I'm happy to move that we recommend priority be first, they call this a South Soccer Field. The projected cost being $61,402. Second being the Penny Klein Field at 188.5. And third priority being the baseball field at Fireman's Park for $68,870.
Baseball field at Penny Klein.
Baseball field at Penny Klein
Mhm.
being third.
It's a motion. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
And just try to add trees where we can.
Yeah.
Because we're also creating
Mhm.
like a path people might walk on
Mhm.
between the whole city.
Yep.
So, and it's just nice to add them.
Mhm.
And if we have to like somehow talk about sustainability, like we could add that, you know, 'cause we're adding asphalt,
Mhm.
to make it hotter, so add trees to offset the hotness.
So we do have a motion and a second. All right, any further discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, next agenda item will be Parks Tour.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, I've been adding in the parks tour every year. We are, I would like you guys to discuss tonight, if you'd like to do the parks tour again this year, if you find value in that, I'm proposing August 18th or September 15th, and a little bit earlier, just due to dusk, and maybe moving the meeting up a half an hour or an hour, depending on availability. And then also selecting sites for the tour to take place. A few that I have in mind, but you guys can discuss again amongst yourself too, and make a recommendation of where you'd like to go. Bauman Community Pool, we've spent over $300,000 in grant funds to do a full gut and replacement in the pump room, so it may be exciting to see where those funds have been allocated to, and then also on deck and a few items that we will be requesting for the 2026 budget as well. The budget will come before this, but at least you guys can see some of those newer items and in that, and then a few other locations would be the Penny Klein Dog Park, and Lake Street Park. I think maybe most of you had visited that on our grand opening day. So we don't have to visit there again, as a team, but just that is a new park that we added, to our system this year. And then, Lakeview Park we visited last year, but again, we will be requesting that entranceway redesign, as we've had a lot of safety issues over the years. So looking at that, and I just threw some of those ones on the table, but I don't want to visit all of them because you guys probably would be looking at 2 sites maybe at the most, or 1 if we really wanted to do a good review, so, of the park.
Thoughts about what parks to visit?
Well, I think Bauman sounds like a good one since we have done a lot of work there.
Mhm.
Should we visit some of the, or at least one of the ones that we need to, the older parks that we're planning on upgrading and redoing the facilities?
So one of the ones with the playground replacement coming up here soon.
Yeah, where we're replacing.
So, those would be, we could look at, I mean, any of those 2 are great options. Stonefield has a failing tennis court that's gonna need funding. We have the playground in the queue for design. That task order is coming to the next meeting. Middleton Hills South, we're redoing the basketball court this August. The pathway, the playground is in queue too, as well. And then Hawk Ridge just has that smaller playground there. So those are kind of a playground replacement, and we're putting all 3 of the playgrounds there into design and RFP process this year with Parkitecture. That didn't.
Is the dog park due for a bunch of changes?
So the dog park, as always, is always something that we'd like to further improve. It's just funding and getting a master plan developed so that we have a really good understanding of everybody's needs and wants at the park. So we are working on coming forward with a master plan to this committee, a request for building out a master plan that would have public involvement included in it. So that will be coming forward in the next few meetings. But just, I threw that out there. I don't know if that would be a better time next year to go visit it. But yeah, so. So Bauman, that will take a good enough time, so I wouldn't pair it with, I would pair it with something else that would kind of be close enough.
Middleton Hills South isn't very far away from there,
I was thinking about that too.
and that could be a good. I think that could be a good or easy transition,
Mhm.
especially in that size of park too. It's a
Like-
fairly, and that's a good size of park too to.
Yeah, and then
really
there's
cheap.
also the soccer fields
Mhm.
next to it.
Those sound good.
All right, so Ballman Community Pool and Middleton Hills South. I had those both circled.
Okay.
So, good.
All right, and then date is a preference, either April 18th or September 15th.
August 18th.
Yeah, August 18th.
Okay.
Was that because you had thrown August 18th or September 15th out
Yep,
there?
yep.
Does anybody have a preference on that date?
No, I don't think so.
The pool's still open.
Oh, that's what I
at
was
that
gonna
point,
ask
right?
is like, when we go view the pool, it would be open, during that time, but you'd be able to see things running, which is, kind of maybe more exciting than, not seeing it all kind of winterized or that, so, are starting to be winterized, so I don't know, I kind of was leaning towards that August 18th.
Would you have a full meeting beforehand and then we go on the tour, or would the tour be the meeting?
I think we would have a meeting, we'd have a meeting
Mhm.
right at 6 and then
Yep,
follow.
okay.
And so I'd try not to put a lot of
Okay.
stuff on there, only
Okay.
what's absolutely necessary, and we could meet, at the pool under the concessions, canopy.
Okay. That work?
Yeah.
Right.
And, earlier time, would we wanna start at 6, or is that not,
6 a possibility,
or 6:30?
or 6:30.
I'm
unemployed, so
Okay,
You're what?
I'll tell you about it after.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Shock
all right,
us.
sounds good. Sounds like 6 o'clock on the 18th. will
Okay.
work.
okay, thank you.
So send those reminders out then,
Yep, I
a
will.
few reminders, so, okay. All right, we got that all taken care of. Liaison reports. Our last plan commission meeting lasted 8 minutes and we approved a sign and gave some feedback on a building that somebody would like to build out on the corner of Airport Road and Deming Way near Kiva. Not sure if they can even get the building built because it's at the end of a runway, so we have to get clearances from the FAA and a few other things, but that was pretty much the extent of that meeting. So, and then has Conservancy Lands met since our last meeting? Awesome. All right, that concludes our agenda tonight, so we are adjourned. I'll see you all in a couple weeks. Sounds like our next